Hi crafters, Raquel here with Paints and Glitter, and today I'm coming along to share with you how you can make this adorable little box card with dies from the Vino gift box die set. This is the new showcase die set this month from Tonic Studios. It's going to come in a wallet, and yours will come with a nice picture wallet that's going to describe how to use your dies. And of course I've already made a video sharing with you how you can make the box, so this is the second video I'll be making, and I figured I should come along and show you another alternate use for this die set. It's super easy to put together, and I've even used pieces of acetate left over from packaging. You can always save these once you take the dies off of it and the little sticky strips, and then you can make something like this using dies you may already have in your stash, which is indeed what I did. I just took out little flower dies that I have from several different sets, and I wanted to show also there's some leftover pieces from the previous project that I did, and I have a little leaf there, so you could even add those if you wanted to, just by backing them up with vellum, but you'll have to watch that other video to understand what that means. But this is, I'm using again the same sentiment just for you that comes in the set, and then everything else you see here minus the flowers came in the set of dies that you see in front of you. So hopefully you enjoy this video, and now I'll start the tutorial. To create a card using this die set, we're going to be using these pieces here. So there of course are many more, but we'll only need these two dome shaped pieces, the outermost portion, which is the larger, and then that inner portion, which is the decorative piece that you can apply on your paper. You'll use the mid-sized rectangle also, that's typically for the base of the box, but you can use that also as a decorative item. And then we'll use that square piece that has that score of a circle, but we won't be using the circle die. And then we'll use the little sentiment. So we'll use the oval to cut out the background, and then the sentiment piece with the oval to cut out the sentiment that states "just for you." So I've gone ahead and cut out my paper. To begin, you're going to be using two of the largest pieces, and they do have a tab mark here. You're going to be cutting those away. So just take your guillotine cutter or a pair of scissors and just cut that little tab away. That'll leave you with two pieces like that. Measure 2 inches in from the very top and score at 2 inches. That's going to give you a piece that looks like this. And what you're going to do is, having taken that square that you cut out, you can score this down at 1 3/4 inches and then just cut it right at that score line. Then once you have your two pieces, one of them will look like this. Here's the other. So now you can score both of those at a 1/4 inch line on both sides, and then apply to both sides of the one that you have already folded forward. So I'm going to apply glue here. And these are going to glue on both sides here of this front piece. Just make sure it goes all the way to the bottom. And again, these pieces measure 1 3/4 inches wide. It's also the same height, of course, because it's just half of that square. And then you will have scored them both at a 1/4 inch on both sides. Adhere them to your front panel, and now you have something that looks like this. You can double check and make sure it's nicely lined up on the back. Might take a minute to dry. You can burnish it if you need to. Have your second piece, that's going to be the back of your card, and then you're going to have other pieces that you can cut out using the sentiment. I cut out my sentiment that states "just for you" in this pretty pink color, and then backed it up on a light peach color. Now, to give my sentiment a little bit of shine, I did color it using the glitter gloss pen from Tonic Studios. This just gives a nice sheen It's just a really pretty, almost glittery effect without the chunky glitter. And then using that small rectangle die, I did cut out some panels. They look like this. And this is double-sided paper. So what I want to do now is to cut these down to fit the sides of my little card here. And I do want to double mat these. So I want this to be the background. And I'm going to cut that down. Cut these down to 1 1/4 inches wide. That should give me sufficient paper for both of these. Okay. I'll cut these to 1 1/8 inch wide. And that'll be wide enough for here, but I need it to be a little bit shorter. So I'll cut this one to 3 1/4 inch tall. So again, that measurement is 1 1/8 by 3 1/4. So you'll adhere these to the sides. And these are not coordinating papers, they're just leftover papers from different projects. So it's a great way to use up your scraps. So I won't have links for the papers or anything like that. This is just little pieces I had left over. Now that you have those two pieces decorated, you can decide what's going to be the front of your card. I thought it would be really pretty to use the floral piece for the front before I decorate the back. So what I'm going to do is, because I know I cut this down, I'm just going to use the measurement from here to here. 4 3/4 inches tall. So I'm going to cut my paper down. And this is going to measure 4 5/8. That should be sufficient for the front. It's going to fit perfectly there. And I don't have more of this paper, otherwise I would double mat it. But it's just a simple card. I think it's going to look really cute. Okay, then on this flap here, if you're going to place a ribbon here, you can do that. You can also take that paper that you cut down, flip it over if it's double-sided, as mine is, and then place it right here on that fold. That way it matches the sides. And because it was the same piece of paper, it's going to match perfectly there. And then before I adhere these to the back, because it's going to create like a box card, what I was thinking was to have this, of course, have little items that you could see from the top here. And in order to do that, what I thought to do, I want to be able to hide the little tabs with this piece of paper, so that's why I haven't matted it yet. But let's go ahead and adhere the pieces that'll go on here, and I want to make sure that they can be seen from the front. So we need to take into account the height of this paper here. And what you'll do is that you're going to have strips of paper that you'll adhere just to the sides of these two pieces. To create the inner portion of the card, what I'm going to do is take a leftover piece of carrier sheet. This is a light acetate that comes with the Tonic Studios dies, and I'm going to make use of it to recycle it. So I'm going to cut this at 4 1/4 inches wide. Don't get rid of that piece. And then I'm going to flip this over counterclockwise, and I'm just going to cut 1 inch strips And you can use your guillotine here, and you can estimate strips. And I know they're difficult to see, but now all you have to do is score these at 1/4 inch on both sides. So at 1/4 inch and 4 inches, or you can just flip it around as I do and make sure it's scored at 1/4 inch. Then go ahead and place double-sided adhesive on each one of those tabs. You can use red line tape. So I'm going to prep these with tape and then I'll be back. Once you've placed adhesive on the little tabs that you had scored on both sides, go ahead and take your card that you've already decorated, the front of it, and then flip it over. You're going to take one of the strips, and you can add as many or as little of these as you want to. I should say as few or as many as you like. I think it's sensible to think of how much space you have on the side of the card, because that's where you're going to be applying the little tabs. But then remove the lining of your adhesive and aim that little fold right after the fold line that you have on that side tab. So there's a crease there. Make sure you add it right after that crease. Okay. And I need to tilt my paper so I can see it here. You can burnish that. And then I'm going to show you what that looks like. So I've got the fold line there, and there's my little tab that I adhered. And I'm going to do the same thing for the next two, because I decided instead of 4, I'll just add 3 to this project in the middle. And then you can gauge how far back you want this to go. But all the way to the top, because of the fact that there's some height to compensate for here. And then the third one. And this one can go all the way to the back if you like. And then make sure you burnish that. Okay. And now what you're going to do is that you can fold these over, make sure they're nicely burnished. Okay. Take away that backing, and I'm going to make use of my tool here. Take away the lining here. Make sure these are nicely lined together, nice and straight. Alright, so now that you've taken the backing off of all 3 strips, take that left side and just fold it over. Okay, and then you can burnish that. And the front and center of your card is complete. You're going to have 3 little channels there. If you can see, it's a little bit difficult, but you do have 3 little channels there on which you can now apply any type of decoration that you want. But we want to make sure that we adhere this to the back. Place it pretty side up, and then take the little tab here that's going to adhere to it. Apply your glue. And then lay these right next to one another. Make sure you line them up all the way at the bottom, and then fold over your tab. You can use the grid in the background if you need to. Burnish that nicely. Attach the next tab to the other side. You should be able to apply glue here, and then leave that flat and just fold this over. Once that's burnished, you should have something that looks like this. And of course, depending on who you're making this for, you could put a bunch of little pieces here that look like crayons or anything you like. And it's a cute little box. Even if you wanted to cover the bottom, of course, you could present a nice little gift inside of there. Now, what you can do here is slide this piece of paper in now and make sure that it covers those tabs. And then I'm just going to slide this right in all the way in the back. Pull it up to the height I want it over here. And then just burnish it. I've now taken a piece of red line tape and I've placed it on another piece of leftover acetate that I have here. This measures about 4 1/4 by 2 3/4, and I just placed a bit on the bottom here. This is going to help me out a little bit. And what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to actually take another piece. Here I've cut out a little bird, butterfly, and several little flowers that I have accumulated through different die sets from Tonic Studios. And what you can do is just place your little bit of tape here and there, depending on how you want your flowers to face. And of course you can vary this up. The glitter gloss pen from Tonic Studios, so after I do a little bit of coloring, for instance a little bird, I did add a little bit of color on that belly of it with an alcohol marker, and then followed it through with a glimmer pen. And then I did the same with the little tulips. So I just colored it in using the same die. It has a little opening, just colored in that little bit with pink and then gave it some shimmer, so on and so forth. But all you need to do now is just tape these onto the acetate, and you don't need a lot of tape obviously because the pieces are quite small. You can get yourself a little variety here. Is actually take my guillotine and I'm just going to start cutting strips off. And I already have glue applied at the bottom, so that's going to make it easier. And depending on the weight of the die cut, you can do it a little bit thinner, a little bit wider. I'm going to start measuring the pieces that I have, and I can go ahead and just start sticking them to the acetate that's already there, and I don't have to worry too much because I know that that's going to adhere really nicely. And then I can pick one of my flowers. I think I want to start with this large one in the back. Take the double-sided tape cover off and then just aim at one going already. And then I'm going to continue on placing these here and there. And I'm going to go for the middle this time and just kind of pinch that piece of acetate, and that's going to be right there now. It's a little bit hard to see, but I promise you it's there. You can see the glistening there. And all I've done is to stick it to the second little channel that I had already added to that. And for instance, I can get my little tulip where I want it. I think it's going to look good there. And then I just press it down onto that acetate. And then of course you can cut down the pieces as needed. So I see I can cut mine down. And that way it'll fit more nicely. And then I can also cut away some of that acetate so that you don't see it. So I just snipped off a little piece like that. And my little flower is there, and there's some movement there, but that's exactly what I'm going for. And I'm just going to continue on adding bit by bit. On there, I want it a little bit lower, so I think I'm going to put my little bird there. And then I'm just going to fill in with all of the rest. So my little bird's going to be right around there. And I think this is fun. You just have fun putting all the pieces together. I think this would be great for children to do as well, to teach them about different perceptions of height and depth and all that good stuff. I'm going to put this one here. Actually, yeah, I'm going to put this yellow one back here only because the little bird is pink. Okay, can roll that back, and then I'm just aiming it at that piece of acetate. And that one can be the little lavender. Okay, I'm gonna grab that piece of acetate, make sure I have the plant where I want it, and let's stick it down. There we go. And then again, cut away the piece of acetate you don't need because you don't want it to be visible from the front. Oopsie. Almost bent my flower. Okay, so that's looking really cute. And you can stick some of them all the way on the background if you like, which I think I will do that with this one. And of course you could use dimensional adhesive on that if you want to. But this is the playful part. I'm going to stick that one right here, right along the edge there. Okay, kind of have a little grouping there going on, which is fine also. And then I've got some little greenery, and I say images, but I mean die cuts. I hadn't played around with that set yet, and I am very sorry that I hadn't. Okay. A little piece of greenery, I'm going to stick it together with one of the other ones. A piece of grosgrain ribbon here that I thought would match my project really nicely, and I've already placed red line tape onto it. What I'm wanting to do is wrap this all the way around this top piece here that's going to be folded over, and then I'm going to tape it onto itself. So that's just a really quick way to wrap ribbon around a project. Okay, and then I did place another piece here just so that this will fold open, and that's up to you. That's going to fold now like that. And then I have my little sentiment here. Okay, that's going to go all the way up here. I'm just going to roll this back so that it sticks to itself. I'm going to place that right in the center, and then I'm just going to glue this down. And that can be right down here. And you may or may not want to cover up that half circle. It depends on the look you're going for. But I think this makes a really playful and adorable little card. It was easy to put together. I recycled materials that otherwise would have ended up in the bin, as we say. And of course now you can add a bit more shine with little gems or Nuvo drops. But I think this is an adorable little presentation. And considering that this is a die set that makes a box that's maybe not as playful looking as this, and I think that it's all in how you look at things and what you want to interpret, which is what you'll get out of it. But I think this is a lot of fun, and it's super easy, just using a couple of pieces of card that are just easy enough to cut out with the die set. You'll have some little pieces left over that you can then decorate the back with if you want to. Why not? You can continue that on, add a little note here. So of course you can cut another panel to cover that entire back, which is probably what I'll end up doing, and then write a little note and then stick it on here. So you can finish decorating that. You can add little pearls along the side. There's so much you can do with it depending on the style that you like. And of course that little butterfly you could add if that's something that you like. I might add a smaller one, but in any case, I hope that this tutorial has been helpful for you. Please leave a thumbs up, a comment, and subscribe if you're new to my channel. Links will be below so that you can pick up the items that you've seen today. Obviously not the papers, but you can definitely pick up some Craft Perfect paper and any of the markers or the glimmer pen, all of that. I'll have it down below so that you can take advantage. And I hope to see you in my next video. Be inspired and be blessed. Thank you so much for being here.